Namaste.
Namaste. We have been learning about Indian history for past several months now, haven't we? In all the videos, you would have seen me saying numbers per years to highlight the landmarks in history. Like I would have said 1563 current era or 200 before current era, etc. Let's today learn about the method of dating used in history, or how dates are determined on a calendar. So the usual way of describing the time or the year in history from 21st century has been in CE and BCE format. This expands into, do you know what CE stands for? Yes, come on.
It's current era.
Current era. And BCE, do you know what BCE is?
Before current era.
Fantastic. Yes, it is before current era. And now before 21st century, it was popularly described as AD and BC. BC stands for before Christ and AD stands for Anno Domini. Anno Domini is a Latin word that means in the year of the Lord, the year Jesus Christ was born.
Why was AD and BC replaced by EC and BCE?
Oh, you're asking me why AD and BC was replaced by CE and BCE. Very good question. Now, there are a few faults in when you say AD and BC. Let's look into how it was done, and then we will take it from there. A monk, a Roman monk named Dionysius Exiguus, he's calculated his own present year as AD 525. His calculations have no factual basis. Now, because historians and biblical scholars put birth year of Jesus Christ as much before 4 BC or before that. And it's not clear how Dionysius has come up with his calculation, because if he's saying that certain year is the year when Jesus Christ was born, it has no factual basis as such, and also it has a very religious connotations to it when they are talking about year, and they have attributed that to Christianity. Then that is basically ignoring rest of the world and rest of the religions. So instead of saying AD and BC, historians now in 21st century and 20th century have preferred to call it current era or before current era. Does it answer your question about why AD and BC were replaced by CE and BCE?
Yes, it does.
Oh, good. Now, let's move on. Another fault, apart from it not being the year when Jesus was born, it's also mathematically not correct. If we look at a number line, you've been all learning about number lines,
Of course
haven't
we
you?
have.
Yes, you have. And in number line, what do you have in the center?
Okay, so 0 is in the center, the
Zero.
left side is negative, the right side is positive.
Yes, positive numbers. That's how a number line is normally written. But what Dionysius did was that there was no 0 in the middle. So that is, there has to be a year, to be precise, there has to be a year when Jesus was born, and then there has to be a year after, that can be called as the year after Jesus was born. That would be positive numbers, and the negative numbers on the number line would be before Jesus was born. But then with the 0 non-existent in the number line of Dionysius, the lack of 0 created a discontinuity not only in the mathematical equation but also in the time itself. Since Dionysius had no knowledge of 0, he made the same exact mistake as any other Roman would have made in those times. Because the 0, you remember, has traveled from India to Rome, yes, it traveled from India to Rome. But by the time when Dionysius made this number line about years, they didn't get the concept of 0 yet from India. That's the reason why their number line was faulty. for the concept of zero and for more information of mathematical theories developed by Indians.
Go to a different episode we have done before.
Yes, that's right. And now coming back to Dionysius Exodus, numbering years slowly picked up and was adopted by whole of Europe and then rest of the world. Before Dionysius's numbering system based on the birth of Christ, Romans named the years based on their emperors assuming the throne.
So like Caesar.
Yes, a Caesar era. Yeah, that's it. That's how they did their years. Several countries had different ways of counting years and have different years as landmarks from which they started counting years. Like Chinese had different way of doing these dating or writing down the years. Jews had a different way of doing it. And Indians, we always had different milestones. In India, the role of great emperors are taken as landmarks to calculate time. Like time is calculated in the form of shakas. For example, in Kali Yuga, total 6 emperors are mentioned as Shakakartas or the beginners of an era. Now there is the first one is Yudhishthira Shaka.
Because you're of your King Yudhishthira?
Yes, and began in 3102 before current era and continued for 3044 years. Then that is followed by Vikrama Shaka, and then that began in 57 before current era and it continued for 132 years, and followed by Shalivahana Shaka, which began in 78 current era and it continues for 18,000 years. So there is quite a lot of more years to go before Shalivahana Shaka stops. After that is Vijayabhinandana Shaka, and then followed by Nagarjuna Shaka, and then comes Kalki Shaka. So currently it is 1938th year in Shalivahana Shaka according to Indian calendar. Indians had great knowledge of astronomy and also mathematical concepts that calculated time not in years or months or in hours but almost to milliseconds.
Milliseconds?
Yes, they did. And they not only understood the concept of the years but also formulated time to microatoms. They calculated time based on inhalation and exhalation of a human being, averaging it out and then calculating each paramanuvu. Paramanuvu is a microatom. So one paramanuvu, they have calculated it as 60,750th part of a second. Then followed by one triti, then followed by a bigger measurement, that is one tatpara, which is 2.96 part of a millisecond, and then that after that is one nimesha, is a time that would take a eye to wink, that is 88.889th part of a millisecond. So they have calculated not just millisecond, but they have gone at least 5 more parts of calculating it from smaller than a millisecond. And then let's look at what they have calculated. They have not only calculated milliseconds and 4 to 5 smaller parts of milliseconds, but they have also calculated the time, how long, how many minutes are there in a hour, and how many hours are there in a day, down to milliseconds as well. Yeah. Now Varahamihira, an astronomical scientist, distinguished Hora from the above mentioned Ahoratramu. Ahoratramu is a day. Yeah, and designed the measurement of time based on Hora Paddhati. One day is divided, he has divided one day into 24 horas. Based on this only, later a day is divided into 24 hours. Based on the planet Hora present at the start of the day was named accordingly after that was there when
So
the
like
day started.
the day could be Saturn.
Yes, it could be. Now, time was measured as days and weeks and fortnights and months and so forth. So they accurately calculated the seasons. They could accurately calculate the time. Isn't it fascinating?
Yes.
Yes,
it
to
is.
listen to how the time was calculated in India. Now, I will see you again next time in another interesting video.
Namaste.
Till then, namaste. Bye.